lady who had lost her daughter heard that Baba had come to Dehradun and contacted him one evening. She came to Baba, bowed down before Baba. Baba was in a good mood, inquired as to why she had come. And she, of course, naturally narrated her tale of woe, that she loved her daughter very much and that she had lost her daughter. So, well, Baba said, comforted her, saying that, well, one day everyone has to die. But she said that you are the avatar, and I beg of you to give back my daughter. I want my daughter back. Well, Baba said, nothing is impossible with the avatar. He can do anything. So she was encouraged by these words, and she asked Baba whether he would condescend to give her daughter back to her. Baba says, why not? It can be done. It's easy. Nothing is impossible with God, Baba said. And she felt so happy for the first time after the death of her daughter. But Baba said, there's one thing that you'll have to do to get back your daughter. So I'll do anything, she said. So do one thing, said Baba. And that is that she should remember Baba all the time, try to love Baba, and one day she'll get back her daughter and make her feel very happy about it. Well, she couldn't contain her joy, you see. She became so happy. For the first time, people who knew her felt her really happy after the death of her daughter. And after she left Baba, I was the only one present at that private interview near Baba for the interpretation of the words and gestures. So Baba looked at me and smiled and said, well, Eruch, why is this cynical smile on your face? Oh, I said, Baba, you have promised to give back her daughter who is dead for so many years now, and in the same form. What? Is there anything impossible with God? Can He not give if He wants to? Remember, I am the God-man. I am God in human form. I said, yes, Baba, everything is possible. I know that you have been discouraging us on these issues, you see. So, Baba then called the Mandali, and all the Mandali assembled near Baba. And then Baba ordered me to narrate the incident of that evening, you see, when that princess, the Rani, had come and asked for her daughter and what Baba had said. So I repeated the whole story. And then it so happened that Baba told the Mandali that she's very happy. And we naughty boys, you see, sometimes when she is with us, we remind her about her daughter. He says, well, why don't you ask Baba for your daughter? And she laughs, you see. He said, I know he's working. I know how he drew me close to him. It was just a bait, you see. Most probably, I lost my daughter in order that I may go to Baba. So she has completely forgotten about her daughter. She doesn't care to have her daughter back, but she is wholly and solely for Baba now. So that is another story, you see, that I thought of.
The one about Krishna that you told yesterday that was so beautiful.
Krishna?
Yes, you were telling us something about the charioteer.
Oh, I see.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. After the Mahabharata war, you see, of course this is a story from the Mahabharata itself that I heard when I was a child. It is said that after the great war, the Mahabharata, and when all the issues were settled, and when Lord Krishna came back to the Pandavas, that is, was with Arjuna and all that, he found Arjuna to be bit egoistic, so to say. Arjun started thinking in the light that, well, he was the most loved one of Lord Krishna, and that it was because of him that Lord Krishna, you see, joined the Pandavas and fought the war and helped to win the war, and that Lord Krishna loved him most, and that he loved Lord Krishna most, and so forth. Krishna didn't like this to happen in Arjun's mind, because Krishna did really love Arjun. And if one were to know the ways of the God-man, one would find the story, you see, very interesting and helpful. It so happened that Lord Krishna told Arjun to go with him for a short walk in the morning, one day. And Arjun and Lord Krishna, of course, went out for a walk. And then it so happened that after some time, they spotted something in a field, you see. They thought that there was some animal grazing or something like that, some creature they could spot. So Lord Krishna took that direction and Arjun accompanied the Lord. When they approached, when they were close to that thing in a field, you see, they thought that there was some animal grazing or something like that, some creature they could spot. So Lord Krishna took that direction and Arjun accompanied the Lord. When they approached, when they were close to that thing, they found that there was an old man bending and trying to find something on the ground. And the man was a simple person, an old man, but having a long sword, you see, a naked sword tied round his waist. And so happened that Lord Krishna and Arjun approached the man and queried, you see, asked as to what the old man was doing. The old man said, well, he was in search for food. Food? Arjun asked him, he says, what sort of food you find on this earth here? It's all dried grass, nothing more than that. He says, yes, I am in search of dry grass, because I don't like to hurt anything, any creature. I don't want even to eat anything green, you see. Therefore, I am in search of something dried up, something dead. Apart from being a vegetarian, he wouldn't want to even hurt a growing vegetable, you see, or greeneries, or anything of the sort. Just then, you see, you want me to continue?
Yes, continue to keep going. Everything's going fine.
Yeah. Just then, it so happened that Arjuna started asking a question, says, you seem to be so honest, so pious, so pure, you don't want to hurt anything or any creature, and yet why do you carry a long naked sword round your waist? Oh, he says it's a long-standing grudge against some of the lovers, so-called lovers of Lord Krishna, you see. Of course, the old man couldn't recognize that Lord Krishna was facing him there. You see, he couldn't believe that Lord Krishna was there, because, well, that is the divine game, you see. They veil themselves. The God-men, you see, always when they want to have a sort of a game, they veil their identity. They don't allow anybody to know. They go incognito. But this time he didn't go incognito, but somehow or other the old man couldn't recognize him. So he said that he had grudge against certain persons. So Arjun was very inquisitive about it and asked, who were the persons? Oh, he says, what have you to do with these things, you see? You go your way. He says, no, we are very interested, Arjun said. We would like to know who the persons are. Oh, he says, look here, I am a lover of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is my beloved God. And I I abhor the idea of persons who call themselves lovers of God and at the same time are a pain in the neck of our beloved Lord Krishna. I am a lover of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is my beloved God. And I abhor the idea of persons who call themselves lovers of God and at the same time are a pain in the neck of our beloved Lord Krishna. So what do you mean by that? He says, well, have you heard of Radha? He says, yes, we have heard. She's a great lover of Lord Krishna. She is the beloved of Lord Krishna. Oh, that beloved. That old man naturally put in a word, you see. So he says, you don't know what pain this woman has given to my beloved Lord Krishna. Had she loved Lord Krishna a wee bit, she wouldn't have given that pain to Lord Krishna. So there are other stories, you see, linked with how Radha's love was a pain to Lord Krishna instead of a pleasure to him. I need not go into such details, you see. One such detail I would like to give in here, and that is when one day Radha was in the court of Lord Krishna. And naturally Lord Krishna was very happy to have Radha in his palace. She had come from her home. She was a married woman, naturally. She came there to pay a visit to her Lord. So when she was there in the palace of Lord Krishna told the queens and all the maids there in the palace to look after Radha very well. And it so happened that those who were close to Lord Krishna, the women folk, they didn't like the idea of Radha being such a favorite of Lord Krishna. There was some sort of jealousy among themselves. So it so happened that when the time came to serve, it is said so, mind you. Who knows what has happened, but it is said so. When the time came for Radha to be given some hot milk in the night, you see, that is the custom amongst Indians. So the milk was given so hot that Radha, in the thought of Lord Krishna, she drank all that milk.
This is very much to do with how Baba can be passing somebody searching for God and yet not recognize the beloved once they meet him. He veils himself, as Baba, I understand, often did.
Yes, that's right. This story has got many things behind it. You see, you can attribute it to, as you have just now said, Baba the beloved may not be recognized by persons. Baba the beloved who is loved, and the lovers feel that they love the beloved so much that there is no other one to love him more than what they do, and so forth. Well, let's continue with the story. So what happened is that Radha, when she drank that milk, you see, naturally she burnt her the gullet, and the effect of it was felt by Lord Krishna there, you see. And it so happened that at the time there, one of the queens, you see, was pressing the feet of Lord Krishna, if I remember the story right. And there she found some blisters on the feet of Lord Krishna. And she just remarked this, says, Lord, somehow or other some blisters are on your feet. What has happened? Have you burned the feet? Said, yes. Just now it so happened I got my feet burned. It's Radha who holds my feet in her heart, you see, as precious as anything. And her gullet has been burned, you see, by someone giving her hot milk. And that's how, you see, I had to take away all that, and then the blisters have come there. Something like that, you see. He comforted the queen who was pressing the feet of the Lord there. So the old man was referring to the love of Radha in the sense that this love of Radha was such that it always gave pain to Lord Krishna. There are many such incidents. And then he turned back to the others, you see, who loved Lord Krishna, and they felt that they loved him most. And one of them was Arjun. He says, have you heard of Arjun, who calls himself to be a hero and a great warrior and all that? So Arjun was himself hearing the whole thing, you see. And well, he kept quiet and says, yes, we have heard about Arjun. What of it? He says, do you know, he calls himself a great lover of the Lord, and how much pain he has given to the Lord. He even made the Lord his charioteer. He even bruised the temples of the Lord, you see, by making him a charioteer. Well, I don't know whether you'll understand this little thing in the story, how Arjun could bruise the temples of Lord Krishna. You see. Lord Krishna condescended to become Arjun's charioteer during the war of the Mahabharata. And a charioteer has to sit quite in the position quite below the warrior, you see, who is ready to shoot arrows in the enemy's camp. And the warrior always squats or sits on his seat there, high up the charioteer's seat. And the charioteer has to take the chariots in different positions wherever the warrior wants it. And how does the warrior control the charioteer? He just spreads out his legs, you see, the warrior, and presses the two toes of his feet on either temple, you see, of the charioteer. Different positions wherever the warrior wants it. And how does the warrior control the charioteer? He just spreads out his legs, you see, the warrior, and presses the two toes of his feet on either temple, you see, of the charioteer. And then, touching the toes, you see, to the temples, the charioteer feels the touch and controls the horses in the like manner and gives the directions to the horses. And that's how the warrior, the charioteer, and the horses are all in tune with the maneuvers of the warrior wants, you see. Likewise, Lord Krishna, who served as a charioteer to Arjuna, had to just take the commands from Arjun, and thus he bruised his temples, because that was a terrible war, and Arjun had to give dictates, you see, through his toes so frequently, and it hurt the tender temples of the Lord, you see. So the old man tried to remind Arjun. The old man didn't recognize Arjun, of course, but Arjun could know what he had done, and he realized the pain that he must have given to Lord Krishna. So the old man said that, well, people are like Arjun and Radha, and that's how he had to carry the sword, because he wants. He says if he were to meet these people like Arjun and Radha, he would surely kill them, although he himself didn't want to touch a creature, you see. And he didn't like to even eat fresh vegetables, but he was in search of dry grass. Yet he was so much pained to find that these people who professed to love the Lord so much were a pain for the Lord. So that is the story, you see, that is said about the old man, and how Lord Krishna brought home to Arjun the folly of thinking that he was one of the greatest lovers of Lord Krishna. I am so much distracted, you see, with all this paraphernalia around me, that my mind goes haywire, you see, sometimes when I want to say some things, you see. It is so nice when we sit quietly and just chat about the stories. It's something different, you see. But when we find that there are machines and gadgets going around, you see, it is very difficult to be in the atmosphere of Baba, which is quite serene and pleasing, you see. This is something unnatural.
Yeah.
Something very unnatural and foreign to us too. Oh, you want that story? Right. What happened is that one day when we were out, you see, on a must tour in a car, it so happened that as I drove Baba outside the town, you see, through which we were passing, all of a sudden I could hear Baba very silently, of course. Baba never made any noise or anything of the sort, but I could feel the shaking of Baba's body. And I just turned this way and saw Baba was laughing heartily. I had never seen Baba laugh so heartily, you see. But Baba having silence, the burden of his silence there with him, we never heard the sound made by Baba when he laughed. No sound was produced when he laughed. But then he would go all red in face when he laughed, and a whole body would shake, you see. But when he laughed, as we would laugh loudly, we would produce noise, we would produce sound, but his body would vibrate and shake, you see, when he laughed heartily. So that was the feeling I had when I was driving the car and had gone just outside the town. And I just looked round and saw Baba in that mood, and I was so surprised that I asked Baba what was the reason why he laughed. Well, he just said, he pointed out to a crowd there, a small crowd, and there he said, "Can you see a man in a cap there, a black cap on his head?" I said, "Yes, Baba." So look, he is bowing down. All this in gestures, he said, of course. He's bowing down to the shrine there. I could gather that there was a sort of a fair there, a sort of a year, some anniversary of some saint there being celebrated or something like that. So that man who was bowing down to the shrine was the same man in whose honor, you see, that shrine was erected, you see. And his anniversary was being celebrated or something like that, you see. And the man was coming, so Baba could recognize that. And he laughed. And that was a great joke for him, you see. And he says that was the reason why he laughed. And he told us then that this is the fun, you see, in illusion. You go there, you are hailed as a saint. A shrine is built there, you see, a mausoleum is built in your honor. And people go there, and then one of the persons going there is the same person in whose honor the whole thing is built, you see. So that's how, that was one of the reasons why Baba laughed so heartily that day.
What
Yes,
about
it is.
his silence?
Huh?
Baba's silence. When did you know Baba when he began silence?
No, I don't know. Although at the age of 9 I met Baba, much before 1925. Baba's silence began on 10th July 1925. And it seems that the first meeting I had with him was, of course, at the age of 9, that is in 1925. But I don't recollect having heard him speaking.
You mean throughout all the years that you...
No, I don't recollect, never heard him speak. But I still recollect one thing, that when I saw him, that there were piles of slates on either side of Baba, you see. That was the time when he first began to write on slates in order to communicate with people, you see. That's the first time, I think, my memory takes me back to that date, you see, when he started for the first time to communicate with people through slates, the medium of slates, writing on slates. And there would be two monthly people, you see, on either side of Baba, producing the slate to Baba and with a pen there for Baba to write, and the other taking the slate, taking the delivery of the slate and reading out to the visitor whatever Baba had written. And then there was a third person to wipe off the slate and keep it clean, you see. So that was the phase at that time. That I remember. I can recollect that. But I don't have the faintest idea What else? Yes, you were asking me whether I made any mistakes while interpreting Baba's gestures. Quite right. I made mistakes many a times. And Irwin, I must tell you that it was through these mistakes I got the confirmation that Baba was the God-man. I never had any experience of Baba's divinity. I never saw any brilliance or effulgence or anything of the sort, you see. I could get the confirmation of Baba's divinity, of his being the God-man, in a very indirect way, you see. Through exercising his patience is one of the ways, you see. I made so many mistakes in his interpretations, interpreting his gestures, that I thought that any other man, ordinary man, would just kill me, you see. And an extraordinary man would get upset and get wild. But then, he was neither an ordinary man nor an extraordinary man. Kill me, you see. And an extraordinary man would get upset and get wild. But then, he was neither an ordinary man nor an extraordinary man. He was the God-man. And I could feel his infinite patience. And because of it, I got confirmation of his being something other than ordinary and extraordinary. I did make many mistakes in his gestures, no doubt about it. And Baba would correct me again and again.
What about that when that photographer came around and wanted to take you a picture, and you told him no, that he couldn't take you a picture? That's a very good point.
And then Baba said, what difference it made, you mean?
Yeah, tell that whole story about the man that came around with the camera.
Yeah. In the beginning, you see, it so happened that people would come and want to take pictures, you see, of Eruch. They took me to be some extraordinary creature, you see, around Baba, because I was given the opportunity to interpret his gestures. So every now and then, you see, some Indian or some foreigner would come and would want to have a picture of Eruch or have an autograph from Eruch and so forth. And I was not at all pleased with the idea, you see. So after all, who was I, you see, to give all these things? I didn't like all this sort of things. So one day it so happened that there was one bold man, you see, a photographer, who came and wanted to have a picture of Eruch. And I refused point blank. And then he was very much upset about it. And Baba was inside the room, and he and I exchanged some words, and Baba clapped, and I had to go inside, and the man followed me, and then Baba asked me what was the matter. I said, Baba, he wanted to have a picture of Eruch, and Eruch didn't like the idea. I said, why are you shy of having pictures, you see? What matters if somebody has a picture of you? If he feels happy about it, why not allow him to have it? I said, I don't mind. But then these people come, you see, and they feel that I am somebody other than the ordinary person or something like that, and I don't like that idea at all. He says, why matter? Are you that other than anybody? I said, no. Then what matters if somebody thinks like that? Why not be bold enough and just allow them to have the picture, that's all. So from that date, now that you may call it shyness or that indifference has all gone, you see. I am neither indifferent to it, nor I am happy about it, nor unhappy about the whole thing. I just take it in the most natural way it comes, you see. People want to take snaps of me, or want to take movies, you see, or would want to tape record things that I know of. I just want to give what I have, what I know of. If they feel happy about it, just now as Irwin and Edward are happy about taking movies, you see. They, of course, I don't know whether they're happy about it, but they, the things that I know of, I just want to give what I have, what I know of. If they feel happy about it, just now as Irwin and Edward are happy about taking movies, you see. They, of course, I don't know whether they're happy about it, but they look to me happy but tired, no doubt about it. They look to me too very tired, exhausted, so to say. And I don't mind now. Any other stories that you think of?
Yeah, one where you
Those were the days when Baba wanted us to obey him implicitly. And I'm sure that all the days were the days when Baba wanted us to obey him implicitly. But then there came days, you see, after many years, when Baba would just be indulgent, and you see, would make us feel that we were a bit advanced in age or were tired, and he wouldn't mind our being rather slow in obeying him. But there were days, you see, when he wanted us to obey him implicitly and instantaneously. And during one of those days, just near here, you see, I was doing the night watch, just 10 feet away from here. And where Pedlu's cabin is now was Baba's cabin, where he would be sleeping and resting in the night. And there was a tree just here, and I would recline and just be seated under the tree in the night and keep watch and go inside whenever Baba would clap and wanted my attendance. One night it so happened that I saw a snake, you see, enter Baba's room. Although the door was shut, there is a sort of a little room there for the snake to go in. So just when it would have disappeared, I could stop it from entering it by pressing its tail with my flashlight, you see, with the tube of the flashlight. Just then, you see, when I was trying to stop the snake from going inside, and right on Baba's bed, Baba clapped, wanted my attendance, wanted my presence there. So I had to get up, but I couldn't. Those were the days of implicit, instantaneous obedience, you see. And he started clapping, and then I had to shout out at him. Those were the days of implicit, instantaneous obedience, you see. And he started clapping, and then I had to shout out at him that, well, with one hand I am stopping a snake there. And if I were to let loose the snake would go right on your bed, Baba. So please allow me some time till the snake comes out, you see, puts its neck outside, you see, of the room, and then I can kill it and then enter it. So, well, it did do that, and I could kill the snake, but it took me about 10 more minutes, you see, to do that. And in spite of it, Baba started clapping, you see. And then, well, anyone would have been very pleased, you see, with the slave who tried to save the life of the master, you see, because the snake would have surely gone inside on his bed there. But my master was not at all pleased because of the disobedience, you see. So what mattered? You ought to have obeyed me. Most important was obedience, you see. You ought to have just left the snake there and entered the room immediately. I said, my heart never agreed to that, you see. I thought that the snake would go there and it's a poisonous snake there and would be harmful to your body. He says, never mind. Doesn't matter at all. Obedience was more important. So, well, that was the day, you see, when Baba then that day told me that obedience is such that if I were to order you simultaneously that you should sit and stand up all at once, you should do that. And that's real obedience. I said, well, that is not possible with us human beings. It might be possible with persons on the plains. But then those on the plains, you see, the planers as they are called, they need not obey Baba, you see. So that is the story, you see, when he wanted that type of obedience, that degree of obedience, where nothing should come in our way. I remember in New Life, you see, when we had to obey Baba to that degree of obedience that we had to come with half-shaven faces, you see. And apart from that, if we were taking a bath, we had to just come with our towels round our waist, you see. And if we are squatting, you see, to ease ourselves in the mornings, we had to just get up and come running to him. If we had heard the clapping of Baba or so forth. Nothing should stop us from obeying him or answering his call. That was most important. And once I remember that there was a person, I don't know who was the person, Murli or Kaka or somebody, there was that problem in the kitchen, you see. Milk had to be boiled. You know, we boil milk here. And you know how milk, you see, how delicate the temperature is, you see, at that degree when the milk is about to get boiled, you see, it comes up in the vessel. So, it so happened that the milk was about to get spilled, you see, and Baba called. So, he just tried to put the vessel down from the stove. And there was the delay, and Baba called him and says, why was the delay? He says the milk was boiling at the time, you see, and he wanted to put it out of the stove. Spilled, you see, and Baba called. So he just tried to put the vessel down from the stove, and there was the delay, and Baba called him and says, why was the delay? He says the milk was boiling at the time, you see, and he wanted to put it out of the stove. Well, Baba said, what would have happened? The milk would have gone out of the pot. Nothing more. But you have disobeyed the God-man. Do you realize that? What matters if the milk gets spilled? What matters even if you die, you see? Doesn't matter if the stove remains lighted there and if there is a fire there. What matters? Where the God-man has called you, you have to leave everything and come instantaneously. No delay whatsoever. So he emphasized more on obedience. And now this leads me to another story of a certain professor. If you can just give me some breathing time, please allow me some time now. You switch off your camera.